Today, I've got answers to your biggest toddler sleep questions. So if bedtime's been a real bummer lately, this Q&A episode is for you. We've got a couple questions today about bedtime. We've got one question about a kid who takes forever to fall asleep at bedtime, another one about a kid who's just like a little chatterbox whenever it's time to go to bed. And then I'm also going to answer probably the biggest question, which is whether or not sleep training is covered under insurance. Let's start with the question that I get asked all the time, which is whether or not my sleep course is covered under insurance. So I've got good news and bad news here. So the bad news is that sadly, hiring a sleep coach or enrolling in a sleep course like mine is sadly not covered under traditional insurance. But the good news is that many FSA or HSA plans will cover enrollment in a sleep course like my course, Sleep Tight Without a Fight. And the best part about using these plans is that you're using pre-tax dollars. In order to take advantage of this, just make sure that you check with your plan administrator. Lots of plans require that you actually prepay for the course and then submit a receipt and then get reimbursed. But just make sure that you know the rules for your own plan. All right, our next question. Sometimes my son falls asleep in 10 minutes and other nights it can take hours for him to finally fall asleep. Okay, yeah, this is really confusing. This is not that uncommon. Let's take a look at 3 things that could be going on here. The first thing to look at here is there a parent in the room at bedtime? Meaning, are you like sitting in your kid's room or laying with them while they're falling asleep? Because lots of times when parents stay in the room with a child when they're going to sleep, the child actually starts to keep themselves awake to either interact with you or just tries to keep themselves awake because they know that when they fall asleep that you're going to leave. So in this case, having you in the room might actually be interfering with your child's sleep rather than helping them go to sleep, which is probably the reason why you're in there in the first place. So if you find yourself in this predicament where your kid really won't let you leave the room at bedtime, but also is really struggling to fall asleep when you are in the room, I offer a free class that can help you figure out how to solve this. You can save your spot in that free class at toddlersleepmasterclass.com. So if you find yourself stuck in your son's room and you think that's part of the problem, once you figure out how to get out of the room at bedtime, he's going to fall asleep much more quickly. The second thing to look at is bedtime too late? So when kids have a good bedtime, they fall asleep in about 5 to 20 minutes of lights out. So if it's taking your son a lot longer than that to fall asleep, then a late bedtime is probably the culprit. And when you miss that perfect window for sleep and bedtime gets pushed too late, it's really easy for kids to get a second wind where they get a jolt of energy that can last for 90 minutes or longer, which is exactly what you want at 8:30 at night, right? Now you need to be a little bit flexible with bedtime, but just a little bit, meaning bedtime could be 15 minutes earlier or later, depending on the day, because the day's activities are going to play a role in how tired your child is. If he was at school for 7 hours, he's probably going to be more tired than if it was a lazy, rainy Saturday at home. Growth spurts can also cause kids to be more tired, and how well he slept the night before can also play a factor. So it's really important that you watch his sleepy signs in the evening, and I've got other videos on sleepy signs that you can check out also. The third thing to consider is if there's something medical going on. Now, this is the least likely of all the scenarios, but it is something to consider if your child is spending hours awake and you are not in the room with them, and you think that you have bedtime nailed down. One sign that there could be something medical going on is if your child snores while they're asleep. I don't mean a soft snore, I mean a pretty loud snore. This could be a sign that they have enlarged tonsils or adenoids that could be a cause of sleep apnea. Another undiagnosed symptom of sleep apnea can be mouth breathing. So if your child is mouth breathing during the day or at night, you can talk to your pediatrician. There are also some vitamin deficiencies that can cause sleep problems. Low iron levels is probably the most common. Less common is low magnesium levels. But if you suspect there's something medical going on, of course, like I said, talk to your pediatrician or ask for a referral to a sleep doctor. All right, next question. My 4-year-old won't stop talking at bedtime. I feel like she's stalling, but I love her cute stories. How can I nicely make her stop? All right, this is so common and it is so sweet, But you're right, we do need to get to bed on time. So here's how you can make it stop. So what we need to do here is just plan ahead for this talk time. Just like you plan time to brush teeth or take a bath or read books, we just need to plan ahead for this talk time so that we know that she can get to bed on time. And that may mean starting bedtime a little bit earlier or maybe using a timer, get a little creative. But it's awesome that there is this part of the bedtime routine that both of you guys like so much. It sounds like she loves it and you really enjoy it. So we want to keep it and hold on to that. We just need to put some boundaries around how long this talk time goes on for. Here's a creative solution. So I want you to talk to her and say to her, gosh, I love when we have this talk time together at night, but it's just taking so long to go to sleep. And it's really important that we go to sleep on time. I've got a cool idea. Let's set a talk timer. Do you want to have talk time for 4 minutes or 5 minutes? Just by having this conversation with her and actually giving her a choice about how long she wants to talk for, that's going to help her feel a little bit more empowered and invested in this new creative solution. Then when it's time for bed, you bring one of those old-fashioned egg timers, or you just use, the timer on your phone. And if you let her start and stop the timer, that will also help her feel a little bit in control of the process. Then you can just enjoy your talk time, knowing that she's still going to get to bed on time, but you don't have to be the bad guy. See, you let the timer be the bad guy. That's the key. If you want some more great sleep tips, check out this video.